Okay, so here we go. Of course, I'm going to start with the rocket. And I'm going to clip this off carefully. Took. There, done. Okay. Now for sanding, I like these, these sanding sticks. They use them often in nail studios, and I think they're absolutely brilliant for scale modeling. There's like 2 different grids on this one. I've got another set here, like 3 different grids. This is like a really high shine polish one, but this is like a coarse grid, medium grid, a fine grid, a buff grid, and like a polish stick. And that's what I usually use for my sanding. Of course, for little awkward corners I use sanding paper again, but I really like these sticks. And you can also do your nails with them. Now, since there are no alignment pins in here, I'm going to cut a couple of pieces of styrene strip about this length, and then glue them in here, so I have some pieces that I can align the fuselage, the rocket body with. Okay, I'm gonna let this dry for a sec. Now these fins, they're supposed to be butt joint to the rocket body. There are no alignment pins here either. You could like drill holes in them and make some alignment pins. What you do have to do is sand this nice and flat, so it won't leave a huge gap in between, which you can see now here. So you really need to get this part nice and straight. An annoying thing that I just discovered is that this control panel here doesn't line up with this side, so that's a bit annoying. So what I could do is like rescribe, like fill everything in, rescribe the whole thing, and then like make new control surfaces of plastic card. Yes, I could do that, but I wanted to do this like a nice and quick video, so I'm not going to bother with it. You get a nice representation of a V2, but as said, the Revell one looks a bit more detailed. But I had this one lying around in the stash, so I thought, like, why not? Let's see if we can align these panel lines nice and straight. Although apparently you can't even rely on the panel lines on this kit, but it's not really a beginner's kit. So, how do you like my new ballpoint pen? I'm going to assemble the fins next, and I will use some Vel contacta for this, so it can fill itself out a bit. It's actually the fins that were like already molded to one of the rocked halves that are actually not exactly in line. So I'm forcing that one actually a bit now. Like, come on. Now, this kit may be basic, but it needs a lot of cleanup. But we'll get there. So I'll let this dry for a bit, and then I'm going to continue with the launching platform. As you can see, I replaced the box with a top opening one. I like working from a top opener. This is an old one from a Rocket Tempest. And I prefer working from a top opening box to the side opening box that this kit came in. Okay, now that we have started with the launching table, there's a lot of cleanup. There's some ejector marks from the mold. I've got Surfacer 1000. You have these in different grades, and this usually suffices for me. Oop. And for larger holes, I usually use some Revell putty. But for this, I can like paint it on there, and then it will dry, short drying time, and you can sand it off. So now that the Mr. Surfacer is dry, I can like sand those ejector pin marks flush. So yeah, a very basic kit. I also filled and sanded the seams of the rocket, and I reopened the panel lines. There's just a couple of panel lines with a PE saw, a small razor saw, carefully gluing the legs to the launching table. These holes here aren't large enough for the location pins, so I drilled them out a bit. And also you need to align like everything yourself. I suppose you could like make a jig for it, but oh well. Let's keep it a bit simple. Now the launching pad is a bit basic as well, and lacks some finer detail. The instructions say that you have to add some struts, some extra struts here and there, but the struts on this part aren't supposed to be there, because there's to transport this thing you had to ride a trolley like right in there, and I don't know if you can see this, but there are two hatches here that would come up, and then you would like ride the wheels of the trolley like right in there, and the whole thing could be cranked onto the trolley. But for the trolley to access the launching pad, these struts have to be eliminated. So you don't need these. And it doesn't say so in the instruction, but studying photographs of the launching pad indicate this. And there are, once you start looking at photographs, you see that there's a lot of detail missing, and also like the details are so very basic on this kit that you are almost wondering how much you have to add yourself. Almost thinking like, should I dispense with the whole launching pad altogether? Just make the damn rocket. Okay, I fast forwarded a bit and assembled a bit more, because there's a lot of things that need to be added, need to be adjusted with this thing. The parts really aren't that detailed, so some parts are like very much the wrong shape, with especially with the launching table. So I just adjust the parts as best as I could. I think this will remain a very basic model, so I could like either add truckloads of extra detail and do it all by hand and basically scratch build the whole thing, or just leave it at a point where it's like, okay, acceptably basic. I did add some winches here. I'm going to keep this pretty basic. If I want a really nicely detailed V2, I probably buy the Revell one. In fact, I did use the building instructions of the Revell kit to see how I could improve this this model. The missile is a lot easier. I did add some extra detail here. There are some, I don't know exactly what they are. I think they're vents or something. But I added that. I removed the antennas because apparently not all V2s did have these antenna mountings. In fact, I saw very few wartime photographs that did have them, so I removed them. And next stage will be priming and painting. So let's get to the fun part. Okay, first thing that I'm gonna do is to rub down everything with some alcohol. Because of the handling, everything's gotten a bit greasy. And then I will be priming these things with Mr. Surfacer 1200.